With Peter Herbert, now the co-chair of Bandung, Africa and Society of Black Lawyers, also a retired judge. Peter, thank you so much for your time. Can you tell us how effective international law is when it allows or doesn't punish until now actions such as the Israelis are taking in Gaza and killing women and children and other innocent civilians?
I think it shows the impotence, in a sense, of the International Court of Justice on the ground, because court orders have huge moral and legal force. However, if they cannot be implemented, and you have organizations on the ground in Israel ignoring them, like the Israeli Defense Force and Netanyahu, pays scant regard at all, then it has to be backed up by sanctions. It has to be backed up by the refusal to continue to arm Israel, and most importantly, by the United States, which seems to have this myopic view of peace in the Middle East as having nothing to do with the Israeli government. And therefore, it really needs to give its unqualified support to rulings of the ICJ, European Union, and others have to stop arming Israel, and that is the only thing that will put an end to this conflict.
As a lawyer and a judge, Peter, what about the words intent and proportionality when it comes to Israel's actions? What do you see there regarding those two particular words, intent and proportionality?
I mean, the evidence is overwhelming, and I think anybody who argues that it's not clearly doesn't know the reality on the ground. You cannot kill in excess of 50,000 civilians and argue that it's not disproportionate. You cannot, in Lebanon, the West Bank, Gaza, Jerusalem, kill countless civilians and argue that this is somehow accidental or collateral damage. Of course there is intent. And the terms for genocide are that you intend, in whole or in part, to destroy an ethnic group, or to create a situation where the demise is inevitable. And therefore, the legal and evidential requirements have been satisfied. And it is, in a sense, a tragedy that the international community is paying scant regard to this. And it really must, as I said before, be backed up by weapon sanctions. It cannot be done simply by wringing hands and by votes at the United Nations General Assembly. It has to be enforced.
What would the judges at the ICJ be doing in terms of their deliberations, what kind of evidence they're hearing from the lawyers representing to the two sides? Are these judges permanently based in The Hague, or are they only kind of part-timers who come and do their work when there is a case like this? What will they be doing and deliberating and examining right now?
Well, they'll be looking at all the evidence. I mean, there is huge evidence that is available, even from the videos and the testimony that the Israeli Defense Force itself has published, but also by independent organizations such as Amnesty International, reporters such as TRT World, and others who on the ground have done some excellent work in highlighting these injustices. So you look at what type of munitions are being used. Are these precision-guided bombs, so-called, or are they using 2,000-pound bombs to destroy apartment buildings? If you do that, then it's absolutely clear that you're intent on destroying civilians, not just the individual who is being targeted, but a whole apartment block. And giving people notices to remove themselves from locations, as they're doing it now in Beirut, is ridiculous. You know, it's almost like saying in Nazi Germany, well, let's get rid of all the Jews in the Warsaw Ghetto, leave, and we erase one part of it. That simply is not credible. So the mental element of this by those in charge, the generals, and in particular Netanyahu himself, who is really leading a fascist state. And the analogies with Nazi Germany grow by the day. I do hope that the International Court consider the necessity of a ceasefire, and all the evidence that they hear when they convene points in that direction. not calling for a ceasefire would be in a sense, an abandonment of their legal and jurisdictional role and responsibility.
Peter Herbert, thank you so much indeed, Peter.
Thank you.